welcome along to the Invincible podcast with my man Lee Judges and Julian in the building. We're all buzzing because, of course, the North London derby went brilliantly. By the way, on this show, we've got a signed Bukayo Saka shirt to give away.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yep. All you got to do is, it's courtesy of Club Legacies, and all you got to do is click the link in the description, and you've got yourself a chance to win a signed shirt by Bukayo Saka.
Oh, I thought you were offering it to us or one of us two.
No.
Because it's one of my...
Well, you can go in for it. You just click the link.
I lost him in the last couple of minutes at the stadium on
Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah.
How?
Well, because we was near the front, like, you know, he's off on his shirt hunt, and he, like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing because they always give it to young kids, which I don't understand. Because the thing is, the shirts don't even fit the young kids. So why bother?
Because the youngsters are the ones that are going to the games, and they would like, you know, you're going to give it to a young kid. Why would they want to give it to like you for?
Well, number one, it fits. And number two...
So you don't get it. You don't get it to put on. You get it to sort of put in a frame or...
I could put it in a frame. I could do everything the young kid could and appreciate it more, and I'll go to all the games. So why does it always have to be given to young kids?
Because they're young kids. That's what you give. Like, I mean, you're looking after the young up and coming kids that go to games. Why would they want to give it to you? So
I'll tell him not to bother.
You begrudge a young kid getting a shirt.
I don't begrudge an individual kid getting a shirt, but every time I go down to the front to try and get a shirt, and every time it gets given to a young kid.
Why do you think that is? Because they don't want to give it to you, but they don't want to give it to a youngster.
Yeah, ageist.
Quite rightly so. Ageist. You know, the other thing, actually, he's just reminded me of something. Before we even get into the topics of today, he's just reminded me of something, right? We was at a game the other day. Well, me and him sit together at games, right? And he's always going on and having a go at the ball boys at the Emirates. And he said to me during the game that why can't he be a ball boy?
there was a reason for that.
You want to be a ball boy instead of the young kids that are being a ball boys at a game. You're saying that you should be a ball boy instead of them.
Yes.
Oh, was you being serious when you said that?
Yes, and the reason being is because I understand the game better than the ball boys, and the ball boys, and it's happened in previous games. I remember Mourinho. When he was managing Spurs, it happened, is the ball boys can have an effect on the game. You can slow it up, you can speed it up. Spurs scored a goal because the ball boy threw the ball very quickly to a Spurs player. Spurs caught the opposition cold and scored. Someone like myself, it doesn't have to be me, but I wouldn't mind doing that job, can understand the game and be effective for Arsenal as the home ball boy.
So you'd like to be a ball boy at the Emirates? In front of the 60,000 fans?
You get loads, Steve. Get on, Mike. Yeah.
You mean serious?
Yeah. So alternatively, give the ball boys some training. Or
they do have training.
Yeah, they do.
It doesn't look like it a lot of the time.
Some food.
I'd have the food as well. But they don't look like they understand the game. They look like they're there for the occasion that, I'm a ball boy. But you can actually have an effect on the game.
So you're a professional ball boy?
Yeah, you could do. I mean, I wouldn't do it for money. I'd do it because I would I could contribute to Arsenal's success. Or have like the under-18s do it. But have people that are quick and understand the game being ball boys, because it does have an effect on the game.
So you don't think a youngster deserves a shirt at a game when they're chucking it out, and you don't think the ball boys should be kids, they should be grown adults, grown men doing it?
Be careful what you say here.
On the first one, it's not that they don't deserve it, but it shouldn't just be given to kids.
It ain't just given to kids.
So I've gone down the front. It's not the first time, is it?
No, it's about the 10th time you've done it.
Yeah, pretty much every time.
10 times you've come back empty-handed.
I wonder why.
Yeah, but 10 times, it's not a case of it's gone to someone else roughly my age. Every single time I've gone down the front to get a shirt, it gets given to a little kid. And that's just ageist.
So all the Arsenal players, if you're watching this video, right,
give it to someone older.
Julian's saying that you're being ageist by not giving a shirt to older people.
Yeah, especially as it will fit, and I will wear it, and I will appreciate it.
I don't know what to say.
It's unreal. Like, 5 minutes from you and you're going, where are you going? You're going to try and get a shirt, like, and he comes back. Another kid's got it. Like, and like there was Declan Rice give it to a little kid. And you know, the pleasure in the kid's face was
Exactly.
great. It was great.
Yeah, but do you not think I'd have pleasure in my face?
Yeah.
Imagine the pleasure in my face if I came back with a shirt.
Well, yeah.
I could see you grabbing the shirt off of like it being thrown to a kid or something.
Yeah.
You'd be the sort of person who'd jump in front of him and try and catch that before he gets
And
there.
I would do. But
And then not giving it to the kid, seeing the kid there crying or whatever, and not giving it to him.
Can I tell the Martinelli story?
well, you're going to anyway.
Well,
What's
no.
the Martinelli story?
Right.
Come on.
We got invited by Perry Groves, didn't we, to the Arsenal Stadium tour, right?
Right.
Going around with him, and we goes into the dressing room, and they said, right, all standing in the dressing room, like, you know, go and sit by your favourite player, right? Well, as I was just right where I was standing was Aaron Ramsdale, so I sat down, Aaron Ramsdale. This little kid's walking towards the Martinelli one, right? Julian's pushed him out of the way.
Oh,
and sat on the Martinelli seat light, right? And this kid's walking around at the end. He just sat on, you know, in a space. You know what I mean?
And you didn't give it up for him?
No, it's a good lesson for the kids because life is competitive. And I got there first. And just to cap off the thing about the shirts, I would jump in front. What they used to do is just throw it into the crowd in a general direction, people, and you could jump and grab it. And now what they do, they give the security guys the shirt and they put it in the kids' hands. So there's no way of getting it. It's not even competitive anymore.
So
It's not competitive against
that kid with the Martinelli thing, you sat in the thing, you didn't feel no way about it. You didn't feel bad about that at all. The fact that he didn't have a seat to sit, you didn't care.
So I never stopped him.
You thought you taught him a lesson.
So I never stopped him sitting anywhere else, but Martinelli is my favourite player. And when Perry said, sit, you know, go and sit with your favourite player, ultimately I zoned in on that shirt and that space and I was going to get it.
God almighty, man. That's unbelievable.
This kid's going where he went, excuse me.
For all you lot out there, he's always accusing me and Lee of bullying him. Yeah? I hope you're listening to what he's saying. Yeah? He's bullying little kids. You know what I mean? Give your seat up for the kid, man. Let this kid sit down there.
Too late now.
Yeah.
I have no regrets.
And then, you know what? Before we really do get stuck into things, I've got one other story, and one other thing I've got to ask you, right? This guy on Saturday, right? So obviously I've got to be very sensible when I go to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, right? So what I tried to do is get there a bit early, right? To avoid all
it was Saturday.
to avoid all the madness, right? So get down there now.
Yeah.
He said to me, he goes, what I'll do is I'll drop you near the ground because he was driving. I said, all right, cool, right? So it's just me and him. We're getting near the ground now. He tells me to put my hat on. So I go, I'm still in your car. No, put your hat on. They might recognise you. So I was going, there's not even loads of fans around here. You know what I mean?
It only takes one.
No, put your hat on. So I said, all right. So I put the hat on, right? Then we get near the ground. We got by the away end, right? He just literally reached into the back, got my coat, threw it at me, and said, right, you got to get out right now. Quick. So I
just left you?
Bro, I go, let me put my coat on. Go, give me a chance. He goes, no, come on. He goes, quick, before someone recognises you, right? And then I literally stepped out of the car. I'd opened the door, stepped out of the car. I haven't even shut it properly yet. He just drove off.
It's not a...
I mean, it's glad to see, good to see you got my back, you know what I mean? He just drove off. Vroom.
Yeah, see, the issue is the type of person that would target you, they probably wouldn't have the guts to actually go for you. What they'd more likely do is throw something at the car. So I was concerned by some...
There weren't even hardly any fans, like Tottenham fans around. There was only like about a handful of them.
Yeah, there was enough of them. And also, we've had personal experience of what it's like there. You know, it only takes one.
But it was nice that you had my back, you know what I mean?
I
Just threw me out on the street, Tottenham High Road, you know what I mean, and just sped off.
Yeah, but then the positives are I did drop you off pretty much at the gate 3 hours early.
You could have found out afterwards that I'm dead. You know what I mean? But anyway, let's get stuck into the game. It was a great victory for Arsenal, even though it was really nervy, unnecessarily nervy in the end. But what did you guys make of the game? We all said, you know what, when you look at it, right, and I think not to be underestimated what Arsenal did last week. That was a tricky week, right? Chelsea, even like a month ago when we looked at it, it was like, Arsenal's running so tough, right? And then that week, Chelsea, followed by Tottenham, and you're thinking, I mean, all the other teams around us are thinking, yeah, they're going to drop some points around this. But to beat Chelsea 5-0, then go away at Tottenham and be 3-0 up at half-time. And all right, I know they had the comeback, but listen, we got the job done. I mean, it was a great performance, wasn't it?
It was a great performance, and I think a couple of weeks before that, we was talking about, you know, on here, if we went to Wolves, Tottenham and Chelsea and didn't get the results, questions would be asked on Mikel Arteta. He answered every one. And what was the greatest thing about Sunday was the way we played. We didn't play our normal game. We went into a different format, different mindset. Let them come onto us and just picked them off. It was fantastic. Like, you know, at the end of it, put through the ringer in the last 20 minutes unnecessarily. Once all that calmed down, you know, you can't help but enjoy it. You know what I mean? And we should.
See, I was quite surprised. I knew that you were stressed. It's obvious. It's not as if you're not communicating your stress in the only way you can, by using a lot of foul language. So it was obviously stressed. But what surprised me about the final whistle, because it was a massive relief when we actually won the game. But your reaction on the final whistle, you were still really abusive.
Yeah, I didn't celebrate it for a little while, didn't I? Like, you know,
no, you weren't celebrating that. That surprised me.
Relief. I was annoyed that I'll be really honest. I was annoyed with Raya more so than anybody else.
He let him back in the game, didn't he?
It's just to go through 20 minutes of absolute hell. Like, you know, and I know he hasn't done it deliberately, of course. But what was the great? I've never seen Tottenham Hotspur fans so quiet, down at 3-0. It was. I tell you what, if you'd have said to me at half time, Lee, you can't watch the game no more. You're just gonna have to just focus on the fans. I would have done it with pleasure. Right, you know what I mean? It was. They're gone. They'd mentally gone. A couple of my mates were saying, "Oh, end it now. Take a 3-0 defeat." Like, you know what I mean? And we were so in control of that game.
Do you know the really funny thing is that I went home that night and I watched it again, right? And obviously we're in the ground and we're full of anxiety because you're thinking, surely we can't throw this away. Plus, as well, when you're thinking we're going for a title race, it'd be bad enough under normal circumstances. But you know that if they get a draw out of it, you know, that's disastrous for us. And my mind started thinking back to that time when we played them. Was it in the League Cup we played them? And they had that comeback. Was it Bentley?
Yeah, it was.
At the Emirates.
4-2, wasn't it?
It was a Premier League game, and most of them had left.
Yeah,
most of their fans had gone home, and then they come back.
That felt like a defeat, didn't it?
Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, not again. We're not going to do this, are we?
I think we were 4-2 up.
4-2 up with a minute
into injury time,
and they scored 2 in injury time and made it 4-4. But when I watched back the game when I went home, they didn't really trouble us again.
No,
after they didn't. You think about it, right? Like Raya makes that error, gives them the goal, and then Declan Rice the penalty, which was a penalty. But this is a bad mistake. I don't think he really saw that the player was sort of coming inside.
It's not like him. Right? He's given away 2 penalties now.
Yeah, but right, what did Raya have to do? After, you know, like even in that last sort of 10 minutes when they were, you know, with the 5 minutes added on and the 5 minutes there, what did he have to do? What save did he have to make? He came and he claimed the ball a few times, but they had no shots. Like, we defended it brilliantly.
Yeah, but if the way you're talking, he came out, he claimed the ball a few times. You're underestimating the importance of what he was doing.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not
claiming that ball. He completely took the heat out.
In no way am I underestimating that. I'm just saying that it's not like that last 10 minutes, right? We were under fire. What he was doing, he was coming and he was claiming the ball, and the defenders
he was dominating the area.
Yeah, and the defenders dominated the area as well. So like we just defended solidly, and they didn't really have a shot. If you actually go back, I don't know if you've had a chance to go back and watch them last 10 minutes. They didn't have a shot on goal. Yeah, it's just because obviously
it's the anxiety of everything.
It's the anxiety, but I have to say we managed the game out brilliantly.
I honestly thought that they was going to score.
Well, then you always think that.
But even you said it. You even said, even you turned around and said, I can't cope with this.
Well, I can't cope with it. But
but you are right. You don't realise that we.
You don't realise until you go home and you watch it back and you're like, actually.
I'm going to say,
defensively brilliant.
I watched it back. Up until the mistake, Raya was having a nightmare. He'd come out for a cross that Romero should have scored when he headed it. They went out for it. Maybe even could look at the Romero one that hit the post. It's only 3 or 4 yards out, you know. And then he makes that mistake. And then from then on, he was perfect in everything. Absolutely everything. Brilliant. So I don't know if it's a concentration thing that went wrong there or whatever.
For me, it was a simple mistake in as much as he tries to play the ball in one way. And what you see is, first of all, I thought he fell over. He didn't fall over. But
he's trying to chip the ball up.
Well, what happened was he saw the ball was on, at the last minute changed his mind, and he couldn't change his mind quick enough and ended up just chipping it. It was a horrendous kick. But then something I thought I was going to pull you up on, and then when you finished the sentence, I can only completely agree. You started talking about the performance, and I thought initially the performance wasn't great, but then you followed it up with the control that we had and how we've played the game differently. And that's the biggest positive I can take from that game, in as much as he's looked at the way Spurs have played.
Yeah.
And if you look at how Spurs played against Newcastle, they actually had even more possession than normal. They've got an average of 62% possession, which is high. It's only the second highest to Manchester City. Against Newcastle, they had 72.9% possession and created nothing. Arteta's looked at that, and this is the big difference between Arteta and Wenger. Wenger never wanted to adapt to what he was playing against. What Arteta's done, he's looked exactly at what the opposition's strengths and weaknesses are, and he's adapted the game. And bizarrely enough, Spurs' possession on Sunday was bang on 62%, which is their average of the season.
And you know the other thing is as well, right? He exploited it in two areas, right? So he exploited it by, just sitting a little deeper and catching them on the counter, as we saw with the Saka goal, where, we know that Tottenham play that very, very high line, and then they're totally dependent upon Van der Ven to use his pace of recovery. But Havertz swung out a brilliant ball in behind, and Saka, fantastic goal. But the other way in which they really, really exploited Tottenham, right, is they know they're not that great from set pieces.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing games now. I remember the first game I saw it was when Man City played Tottenham, and they just crowded up Vicario. They really sort of got in and around. Or was it Everton?
Everton the first team to do it.
Everton did it, and then Man City did it, didn't they? And all of a sudden, Vicario went from like everybody saying how great a keeper he was until people saying, hold on a minute, this guy's a bit vulnerable from there. And then you saw they deliberately targeted him. You could see even that time when Ben White was trying to flick his gloves and all stuff like that. That's not by, they've obviously said this guy can be wound up there, right? And they crowded it up, and they crowded the whole box, did all these little manoeuvres where they dropped out running. And Spurs just couldn't handle Arsenal from set pieces. That's where 2 goals came from. Yeah. And I just think that Arsenal just basically got 3-0 up. And just said to, the message probably would have went out from Mikel at half-time that, the game's won. As long as we don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, but then they did something stupid.
All you got to do is don't do anything stupid. And actually, we could have went 4-0 up had it not been for an unbelievable save by Vicario. Yeah. We would have went So you're right. His tactics are really, really good. I mean, obviously, you can't legislate for when people do ridiculous like what Raya did. And Raya was brilliant after that, you're right. He's got to cut these mistakes out. That's now 2. He done 1 in that game. He did 1 in a Bayern game where he just rushed blood.
Cost us in Bayern Munich.
Got to cut these things out now, you know what I mean? Because he's got to keep his level of concentration high, because that was ridiculous. I was like, what are you doing?
Thanks to him.
He could have cleared the ball anywhere.
Thanks to him, I couldn't enjoy that experience, because I honestly think...
But you should have enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it since. I've enjoyed it since.
You did enjoy it. The final whistle.
No pressure.
Listen, that game means a lot to me. Like, and you imagine, right, if they would have equalised in that game.
But they didn't.
No, but if you did, that's the thing. That's why we're all panicking. If they scored and made that 3-3, you imagine what we'd have been going through.
But I can understand if. But on the final whistle, I was going through. It's hard not to run these scenarios in your head. But once that final whistle went, it was like I wanted to have a wee for like 2 years, and it was the first time I did it. The relief, it was just unbelievable. Relief of Arsenal have won the game, and it went from this total fear of what could happen to the total joy of what had happened. And I've turned round, well, when I got back to my seat after not getting a shirt, I've come back and he's still swearing 5 minutes later, and it's like the game's still on.
I was emotionally wrecked. I ain't going to lie. You know, for me, I've got a lot of, you know, I've got family that are Spurs. I've got like, you know, a lot of my mates and all where I around Spurs. You know, for me to walk out of there with a 5 or 6-0, you know what I mean, like that, and it was there. It was in the palm of our hands.
But we still won the game. We still got 3 points, and they didn't. And they got nothing. Listen,
forget about that now. From 10, 15 minutes, once the anxiety's gone out your body, it's fantastic. I don't care how you win. Listen, if you'd have said to me before that game, you're going to win 3-2, I'd have bit your hand out of it, like 1-0 ball, like, whatever. Like, it's just about winning the game, and you're correct. But when you look at it and analyse it, you're 3-0 up. They're walking out at 39 minutes. I know they're not going out of the ground. They're going into their bars and all that. Like, they're going to the bars, and the faces, you know, like. If it weren't Spurs, I'd feel sorry for them, like, you know what I mean? Like, they were standing there, they couldn't even banter us back, could they? They couldn't even come. They knew that we was a better side. They knew that this might happen because they're a little bit, and reality was there we was doing it to them. And listen, I had the bad thing when they beat us 3-0 and coming back on the train, being ridiculed and all that. I wanted my payback. I wanted it. And you know, Raya unfortunately made that mistake. And what he done by giving away that goal is that he gave them hope, and there was a different atmosphere in that ground as soon as they scored that goal. And we was under the pump for 20 minutes. And I'll tell you this now, if it'd gone another 10 minutes, they would have got it.
They wouldn't have scored.
I don't know, Rob.
They wouldn't have scored. Listen, I'm saying to you, I challenge you to go back and watch that game, right? Watch the last 20 minutes. I
thought we defended really well.
We defended brilliantly. Like they didn't have a kick. They didn't have, like, Ray had no saves to make. They were just, all they were doing was getting the ball, crossing it in. Ray was catching it. They literally did nothing. And
I will say this: I was a little bit harsh on Martinelli for his performance, but he actually come on at 3-0 to be the one to hit him on the break, the out ball. But what he had to do was he had to change his game. Yeah, and defend and be,
and he does that job as well.
He done that fantastically well.
I think that's one of the things about Arsenal this season. The defending's been brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, I think Arsenal. I can understand why every Arsenal fan would be full of anxiety because, you know, a couple of years ago that's a draw.
Yeah,
but a couple of years ago it's a draw. But now we have that strength in defence that we can see out these games. We can see out these moments. They're really, really good. I mean, the two centre halves are brilliant in the game. You know what I mean? And I just feel that, you know, it just gives you so much confidence going forward. You know, the way we're defending now.
And I've done another thing which, when I look back on it, he brought Kivior on as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
No one noticed that, but that's because they were. And what he actually said was, if they were going to put in crosses, he was quite pleased for him to do that, because then he had it, you know.
And that's all they did.
Yeah.
That's all they did was put on crosses, because they couldn't, you know, they couldn't get shots off. They couldn't get any sort of space to. Every time they got near the box, they were just crowded out. I thought it was a very, apart from the errors that we made, the two big errors,
and those two
it's a very disciplined
and those sort of things can be cut out. And the other aspect of it is why it was so enjoyable, which is really important to me. And I know it doesn't portray me as this great human being, but I take such pleasure from their misery. So the fact that we did give them a bit of hope, and then we ripped it away. And look at them at the beginning of the season. Their first however many games, I think they got 26 points out of their first 30. And what's going to happen? They're going to win the league. Vicario's the best goalkeeper in the league. He's now got the record for the most goals let in a league season. I've still got, I think, 3 games left from a Spurs goalkeeper. in his first season. I think Neil Sullivan had the record previously at 49. He's already let him 52.
You know, I'll tell you what the problem with Spurs is, right? And, you know, I did a best of enemies expressions and I was saying this to him. I was going, you've been sussed out, mate. At the start of the season, when Tottenham came to the Emirates and they played us, right? Even I was surprised. Remember, we was watching the game. I was like, "Wow, they're a lot different, man." You know what I mean? And like they're really attacking. They press really high up the pitch. They caused us a lot of problems that day. But since I feel the start of this year, obviously what happens is, you know, every team's got their analysts and all that. You sit down and they study teams, right? And they've sussed Tottenham out. We know what they're going to do. They're going to play this very, very high line, right? And they're open every time to the counter-attack, right? So you saw it in that Newcastle game. Yeah. Where, remember, it's an under-strength Newcastle. They were missing some of their best defenders and stuff like that, but they still won the game easily because all they did, as soon as they won the ball, they just had got the ball to either Isak or Gordon, right? And just said to him, just run in behind.
Well, I'm saying had a field day.
Basically, if Van der Ven, who's like he's really quick as we know, right? If Van der Ven can't get to one of those players that run in behind, they're in big problems. And then the other thing, as I said, on set pieces, they're very, very poor from set pieces. So they've been sussed out. That's what's happened to them. That's why they've been losing so many games recently.
And I will say, like, you know, I was impressed with that Van der Ven, by the way, but he was physically absolutely shattered at the end of that game because he cannot sustain that.
No,
probably
no wonder he's injured.
He went with a run with Havertz and he managed to he couldn't get up for a couple of seconds because he'd run himself into the ground. The responsibility is on him. You watch them play. The responsibility is on him and when in that dog he plays as well. These guys got to be making these recovery runs all the time, right? It's just not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, and I just feel that they've been sussed out. And then certain other players as well have been detailed now. Like Maddison, earlier on in the season, he was floating around the place and that. Teams are like, oh, yeah, actually, we're going to mark you a lot tighter. You see Maddison, he hasn't done anything for ages.
I thought he was poor. But
Very poor. He was average, wasn't he?
Son was missing as well.
I'm not a disliker of Maddison.
No, he's a good player. But I'm saying that now he's... You know, the thing is, right, it's like we look at a player like Saka and we see that guy get doubled up and trebled up in games, right? And you look at that guy's numbers this season, there's still, I think he scored more goals this season than ever he scored in, despite people saying he's had he's been nowhere near what he was last season. He scored more goals this season, right? He's got a better goals assist ratio.
If you leave him freed, Rob, that's what he does.
Exactly, but you see, he's found a way, even when he is doubled up, to still produce. Yeah. Now, that is a challenge to a player like Maddison. He's a top player, but that's been recognised now. Like, as I said, teams look at you and they start to say, well, the big threat is Maddison. So, yeah, we've got to double up on this guy or we're going to send a guy out to and then it's up to you to see what you can do because they put Højbjerg on man-marking job. They put Højbjerg on Odegaard in the game, but it didn't really make no difference. Odegaard's a top player.
And do you know what I noticed? Because we was quite at the front, I didn't realise how small Maddison was. You know what I mean? Like, he's not as big as what Odegaard is in size and stature. And I just thought like the game just passed him by. Yeah. And
I just feel that Tottenham Hotspur have been sussed out this season. Like they started it off.
Great, isn't it?
It's great, but they started off like a train and they took a lot of teams by surprise.
Like Thomas the Tank now, then, aren't they?
And I just feel that like a lot of teams are, like you said, we don't normally play like that. We switched up our tactics.
Yeah, I love that.
We're like, if we do that, they're quite easy to play against.
I love that.
But the flip side to this now is this is where I'm different from Spurs fans. Spurs fans apparently have been writing into Daniel Levy to tell him to instruct Ange to throw the game against City. You know, how mad is that they would give up Champions League football, which will have a massive benefit to their club, for the fear of Arsenal winning the league?
Yeah, but you could, if it was the other way around and you say top 4 for Arsenal, but you can be guaranteed top 4 this season, but they win the league. You're telling me that you'd be happy with that?
Well, I can give you a real life example from this week where I'll be different. I'll be supporting Tottenham against Chelsea on Thursday night, and the reason being is I want them still in with a chance of Champions League football to get top 4 so that they're competitive. Because I still believe that those Spurs players won't be influenced as
No,
much
I don't
by
think
the
the players will
crowd.
be influenced.
But if they have a chance for Champions League football, where they're all going to get bigger bonuses, there's going to be more money, there's going to be more prestige, they're in the shop window, is that they go into that game against Man City as motivated, regardless of the crowd. But if they go in without that motivation, I think that could be.
And I worry that
to our
they
detriment.
might have no motive because they've got to go. They've got to go Chelsea Thursday night, and then they've got to go Liverpool on the weekend.
And I hope they beat both.
I don't think they will.
Do you know one of the things ridiculous that they've put that game right at the end as well? That game should have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
when they played
maybe.
Brighton, because of the scenarios that what you're saying, like, you know, is that game could be a dead rubber now, and you know, the integrity of the league could be at stake. Listen, Tottenham would go for it, but do you remember a few years back when it was at Man United? I never got excited when Man United, when Tottenham went 1-0 up against Man United. You knew what was coming, and I don't want Spurs to win on Thursday. I don't want them to win another game this season. Like, you know, and hopefully they get knocked out of the Europa League.
Hang on a minute.
But you want them to beat City,
You want them to beat City, don't you?
Yeah, but hopefully City will drop points by then. Like, you know.
Yeah,
No, but if they ain't, don't you want them to lose to City? You want them to beat Man City?
draw. I draw.
I want them to beat Man City.
Got to beat, because even if it comes down to goal difference, it's.
No, I mean a draw
we're
would
ahead
be
now.
enough if as long as we won all our games.
Listen,
A draw would be enough. We wouldn't even need goal difference. We'd be.
we need to beat Bournemouth quite convincingly this weekend.
No, but I'm saying if they dropped.
So if they
drop
would get a
points.
draw,
Goes to goal difference.
and then we would.
Oh, yeah,
win,
you're right, it
It,
would go
it goes
goal
to goal difference.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I think we're 6 ahead.
Yeah, so we need a good result.
Yeah,
against
and 6
Bournemouth.
when you're a team like City can go out and win sort of 4-0.
Like what you said they were going to
3-0.
do when they played. What was it?
Luton.
When you said it's going to be about 6-0.
Yeah, it was only 4.
2-1. Was it? Oh no, it's 4. No, it wasn't the Luton.
Well,
It was another
they
game.
could get 6 against Wolves, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so we don't know. So I know what you're saying. At the end of the day, like, all right, I want to win one game this season against Man City.
I want them to
but
win that game.
But it's more important to me that I would have Spurs in the Champions League for Arsenal to be champions.
Hold on, wait a minute. But remember a few years ago, right, when they were going for the Champions League, I remember being asked this question a lot by TV people and stuff like that, right? They said, do you want to win the Europa League, but Tottenham win the Champions League?
I remember.
Or you lose the Europa League and Tottenham.
It works
that
out.
guarantees
That-
that they.
I can live with that.
I said I'd rather you lose the Europa League as long as they don't win it.
And
What would you have said at the time?
No, I was asked the same question, and I said the same as you, but that was a different.
Well, then,
so
so how are you having a go? At the end of the day,
because Arsenal have never won the Champions League, and just the thought of them. Just
so
you
you can understand what this.
It was a horrible
So
night.
surely you can
But I
understand where
wouldn't-
they're
but I
coming from.
wouldn't
They don't want us to win the league.
I get that, but to the extent that they're actually writing into their own chairman to demand that they throw the
it's
game.
not everyone.
We've been fortunate that we've never had that, have we?
Yeah, but listen, with you is in their position, right? And someone said to you, all right, you get top 4, but Arsenal can get top 4, but Tottenham win the league. What would you say?
It's very hard. It's very hard to put yourself in the place of a Tottenham fan, because thankfully.
No, I just gave you. We had a similar scenario a few years ago.
Do you know
right?
what?
And you
I'll
just
tell you
said,
a similar.
Just be honest, right? Just be honest before we go to you.
Right.
What would you? Tottenham, we get top 4. We're in their position. We get top 4, and then they win the league.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you that.
I'll tell you a little scenario, right? The last time Tottenham generally went for the league was against
Leicester.
How many points did we take off of Leicester that season?
6.
6. You know what I mean? So we didn't do. But I will say, whatever happened, Spurs have done us a favour by taking 2 points off of them already. Chelsea have done us a favour by taking 4 points off of them. So you can't. At the end of the day, they've done their bits. You know, Tottenham. You know, whatever happens now, they have took points off City this season.
Do you reckon they could do it again?
Listen, you know, it's the
well.
last home game of the season, like, you know, and I'm a firm believer of this. Yes, the fans don't want it, but if you've got a chance of, it might be Champions League football. Also, what you've got to realise is that a lot of those players, if they don't get to Champions League, have failed in the eyes of the board and everything like that. So they're playing for their futures. And some of them players, the biggest club they can ever play for is Tottenham. So they could be like, you know, all right, well, we're going to get rid of you. So, you know, there's a little bit more than it just the Arsenal Spurs scenario, like, you know. And also professional pride comes into it as well.
Yep. All that comes into it. I mean,
So the answer is yes. You think they can do it, Spurs?
Do you know what? No, I don't. I think
got a good record against
they
them.
have got a
They've
good
even
record
scored a
against
goal
them. But if
in
they
the
play
Premier
like
League.
they did against us, they will get smashed as well because it just plays into the hands of Man
But they
City.
played like that against City, and it was a 3-3 draw. They played exactly like that, and they still got a draw
Who
at
knows?
City.
We're all just talking about us and City. So what, Liverpool out of it for you?
Yes, in
Right.
my view.
They're out of it, Liverpool?
Yeah, because if one drops off, the other is not. You know,
It's interesting because
I'll see that with you.
yeah,
Brilliant.
no, but it's just factual.
That changed their tune.
I had to ask Liverpool. I had to ask AGT's big Liverpool fan, obviously.
Bottle.
Yeah, I said,
last
I
year.
go, did you bottle it? Because I go last year when we did more or less the same thing. Because remember, Liverpool
at West Ham as
Liverpool
well.
Liverpool were top of the league.
8 points clear if they beat us.
When they played us, innit? They were 5 points clear.
Yeah,
They got
could've
8
gone
points clear. They lost that, right? And then even when they probably like 3 weeks ago, when they did that supercomputer thing,
Yeah.
they were favourites.
And on his spreadsheet.
They said
Sounds your
we're gonna,
spreadsheet.
we'll get to that
Arsenal-
spreadsheet in a minute.
Arsenal.
Right?
What's that on your spreadsheet?
And they said, right, that they had the easiest running.
Yeah.
So they
We-
bottled it. Surely they bottled it. You know what I mean? Nobody can accuse us of bottling it this season.
And you've seen them imploding. You see what happened with Salah and Klopp.
Pressure, innit?
Yeah.
It's pressure. I don't think
Pressure.
think it's bottling because at the end of the day, you're in a
No, but if we
position.
bottled it last season, so they bottled
Listen, we was in a position last season.
I mean, I always think bottles are hard work.
it's like. All right, Alex, you bottled it, or Tottenham fans saying you bottled it. When you're in that position, the pressure is. We know what it's like now. The pressure, I think that's why I was like that in that last 20 minutes. It's unbearable. If you're halfway down the table, if they do score, it ain't the end of the world. Or if they do, they don't. You know, we ain't lost. But that we had to win that game on Sunday. So the pressure in that is immense. And I think that Liverpool have. There's a few players in that Liverpool team now that have not gone through that experience, and they've found it out. And you did right. Jurgen Klopp is, he knows all about it. There he is. Things not going right with his star man and all that. Why? Because of the pressure.
By the way, you mentioned your spreadsheet. What did your spreadsheet say about the Chelsea game?
The Arsenal-Chelsea game, it said Arsenal would win.
The Tottenham game?
Tottenham game, Arsenal would win.
You said a draw.
No, Arsenal would win. What I said and I got wrong is I said Arsenal would draw at Brighton and they won.
So only one draw.
And also I said Arsenal would win against Villa and they lost. So far I've got 2 results wrong.
2 out of 5.
I think you had Tottenham down as a draw.
No, I had Tottenham down as a win.
2 results out of 5. That's not a very good return.
Well, then you could turn it around saying I got 3 right out of 5.
What about Liverpool versus West Ham?
No, I've got the Liverpool ones. I think I got the Liverpool ones almost spot on. I think the Man City ones.
You had Palace beating Liverpool.
I'd have to confer to it, but the ones that I remember that I've got wrong on the
You
City.
had West Ham drawing with Liverpool.
Man City drawing with Brighton.
That's the one. That's the one I got really wrong.
All right, but
was the Man City.
West Ham drawing with Liverpool. You had that. Yeah?
No, I think I had that as a Liverpool win.
Right. The Palace versus.
But the one thing about my
just
spreadsheet.
tear that spreadsheet up
No,
and throw it away,
my
right? Because
spreadsheet
what you've just said there, you've got half of the results wrong.
So you look at the supercomputer. The supercomputer updates after every result. This spreadsheet was done with 10 games to
You
go.
can update it.
No.
It's your spreadsheet.
Well, of course I can update it, but I've kept it static.
Throw it away. You've got half of the results on it wrong.
No, I haven't got half.
You have.
Yeah,
I'll have a look through it, and I'll come back next week.
Spreadsheet.
I'll come back next week and say how accurate I've been.
Oh yeah,
Up to now,
I've probably tried to adjust it.
No, I won't adjust it.
No.
But the other thing is with going back to the supercomputer, it updates. The spreadsheet was done when a lot of other factors hadn't occurred yet.
Like Klopp leaving.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was happening.
Oh my God. Right, listen, this weekend then, it's all very tight. We're top of the league, but only by 1 point. They've got a game in hand. We're up first. 12:30 kick-off against Bournemouth. They play later on Man City. 5:30 kick-off against Wolves at the Etihad. And then Liverpool, who we all kind of think, even the Liverpool fans are saying they're out of it, but they got Spurs. Not easy, but Spurs at Anfield on Sunday, 4:30 kickoff. But I think a lot of people are saying that they don't think Liverpool. I mean,
That's lost its spark, that game.
To chase two teams is really difficult. So it's looked like it's boiling down to us and City. Confident going into that game against Bournemouth. Bournemouth been playing well. They beat Brighton 3-0 at the weekend. They've been playing, got a new, different manager we know this season. A lot different team to when we played them earlier on in the season. You know what I mean? Solanke's been playing well. Kluivert's been playing well. Semenyo. They've got a decent side.
Yeah, I think if you look at it, the first thing I do is look at the table. And if you look at the table, they're 10th. So you couldn't wish for a better game at this stage of the season because you're playing a team at home, bang in the middle of the table that shouldn't have anything to play for. You then
Nothing to lose either.
Well, nothing to lose, but I always think it's better to play a team that hasn't got the same fight on the beach and all that. It's just, it can go either way. But I think
been on the beach, though,
I think that's
in the games
preferred. But and that's the thing. When you look
nice
into
beach as well, Bournemouth.
So when you look into the form for the first 9 games, was it? The first 9 games, they get 3 points. Since then, and they got their first win against Burnley, they've got 45 points, which if the season had started on that weekend, they'd be 5th in the table. You're actually playing a team, one of the form teams in the league. It's quite incredible. But they do have an injury to their centre-half, who's been quite immense. Semenyo, I think his name is. And they've also got another player. No, I think the centre-half...
Semenyo's midfield.
Yeah, so Semenyo's injured, who's been really important to them. And there's another guy, begins with S, who's suspended, a centre-half.
Smith.
No, Smith is the weak link. Smith, if Smith plays, he's the right back. He's ageing quite a bit. And Saka can get to him. Martinelli. I'd play Martinelli against Smith.
You seen him playing, or you just...
Yeah,
just what you read up on.
I've had a in-depth conversation this morning with a Bournemouth fan, so I've got a bit of information there. It is the gentleman that invited you to.
Joe.
Yeah,
Joe. He's not a Bournemouth fan, though, is he?
No, he's an Arsenal fan, but he goes to all the Bournemouth games.
His dad's firm sponsor Bournemouth.
And also, I've watched the analysis on Match of the Day from Sunday about 5 times.
So they're on form, but you think we'll be all right?
I think we'll be all right, so long as we get the tactics right, which I'm confident Arteta will. I mean, if I've found out about this, their right back, left back, their right back, then Arteta, I'm sure, must know about it.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, remember, we had that game against them that time.
It was an unbelievable game.
So we don't want another one of those situations. They're playing well at the moment. Solanke's been one of the best strikers in the Premier League.
Listen, we've got to respect them, but this is a team that I think you're at home. Got to make hay with this. We've got to get a few goals because you are right what you're saying. I think, I don't know how the Wolves game's going to go. That could end up 0-0, 1-0 to Wolves or 5-0. I'm hoping that that's just their game that they play, where they bash them all over the place and can't score like we had against West Ham. Who knows? I know people keep going on about this, but I do think that the home games may be the ones where City could slip up because...
I don't.
Well, it's the same with us because I think there's that expectation when you're at home to just be a little bit more open.
Yeah,
but
their
away from home,
record at Etihad's unreal.
Yeah, so was ours until Aston Villa come. It can happen.
Have to win that game.
It can happen.
And they haven't been playing that well. If you saw, I only saw the highlights, but I've read the commentary. They're winning
2-0.
But
Chris would miss loads of chances. He missed chance after chance, but it's still won 2-0, clean sheet.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
game to that, I think they scored 4.
Play great. They didn't play great against Forest at all. If you look at the 2 XGs, I think Forest had twice as much XG than they did.
But no goals, man.
No goals.
That's the important thing.
That's because one guy up front couldn't put the ball in the net from 3 yards out. And that's luck from City, not great play from them.
He's the guy up front.
Yeah, but that's not. But that's.
So you think Wolves could cause a little shock?
Probably not.
No, I don't think they will.
Probably not, but there's always a chance.
I don't see Man City dropping any points, if I'll be really honest. I don't see them.
I think, to me, the game that they could drop points is possibly the Tottenham one. I can't see him.
Fulham?
I can't.
Fulham?
Possibly, you don't know what Fulham's going to turn up, though, do you?
Yeah, but there's
Fulham
a chance.
Fulham a weird team, man. But it's a chance, yeah. Listen, you can't just say they won't drop points because a few weeks ago, I thought Liverpool. I looked at their running. I was like, I reckon Liverpool could win it. And I was shocked to see him lose at home to Palace, and shocked to see him, the 2-2 draw the other day. I mean, and you can just, the way it is, I mean, even us, we could drop points if we're not sensible against Bournemouth.
I think we've got to be ruthless on Saturday and try and make sure that the goal difference don't come if we can get 2 or 3.
Yeah. I know one thing, right? If we used to win this league, we deserve it, right? Because our running has been hard.
Yeah.
When you look at it, right, Man United away, we've got to still go to. We've had to go Tottenham away, Chelsea, Villa. That's not an easy running, man.
And we've done very, very well, you know what I mean? Like, when we look back at it, and people will turn around and go, oh, the Aston Villa game. There's been games before that. Our run since coming back from that winter break has been nothing short of sensational. I think it'd be 21 games. If we could go and win each of it, it'd be 19 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat. And that's still not enough to win you the league. Yeah. You just got to turn around and say, hold your hands up.
Exactly. I mean, I feel if we do lose it and continue to win our games, you can't say that we've lost it. You've just got to say City have won it.
Yeah, exactly that. And you can't argue that, you know what I mean? And they've been there before. And I don't think they're as good as what they were last season, but I just think there's a relentless. The manager just doesn't let up, and you're relying on maybe Spurs, Fulham, maybe even a controversial decision, which probably won't happen because most of the refs have been having holidays in Saudi Arabia and all that, so it ain't going to happen. So you just got to. What Arsenal have got to do now is just win their next 3 games. That's it. And if they do that, if we don't win it, how can you not be proud of this team? How can you not be proud of it?
Just quickly before we wrap it up, right? So, would you stick with the same midfield for the game? Partey, Rice, and up front, what's your front 3?
I'd have Martinelli for this one purely because I want him up against this Smith.
I'm bringing Jesus back for this one.
I want pace. I could live with Jesus.
Jesus for who?
Trossard.
Ooh, no.
So I'd have Martinelli, but my second choice would be Jesus, and it'll be quite close. I just want pace up against the right back.
My team would be unchanged. I'd have
the only thing with Trossard, he just haven't got that bit of pace on the left hand side.
He hasn't, but he scores goals, and in the last home game he scored, his goal got us off the mark. And to me,
it'd be harsh.
To me, in some of these games, as many goal scorers on the pitch as possible, man. And I definitely would start Trossard. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts with Martinelli. He did look a little bit sharper when he came on the other day.
Well, Jesus didn't even get sniffed, did he?
No. Yeah. Predictions.
Didn't get on.
4-0.
Wow.
3-0.
2-0.
I think Arsenal got a.
But we're all in agreement it'll be 0.
Yeah, we've got to keep it. Although you seem to be more vulnerable to conceding goals at home. Was a bit disappointing to concede those 2 the other day. We've got to sharpen up, but I fancy Arsenal. The mood is good in the team at the moment, so I fancy the team to get the job done.
Listen, if you're going to drop Trossard, that's a bit harsh, So probably the same team if I be really honest about it.
Okay, well listen, we've reached the end of the show today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget, of course, we will be here for the big watch along on that game. We're also going to be at the stadium speaking to fans. Massive game, Arsenal taking on Bournemouth. Also, don't forget you can win yourself a signed Bukayo Saka shirt. Click the link in the description to get all the information regarding that. But a signed Saka shirt, Julian, you can enter it without having to push no kids out of the way, right? So have a go. But thank you very much going out to you, Lee, and to you, Julian, and thanks to you guys for watching. And we'll be back next week here with another Invincible podcast.